The following story contains homophobic language in the context of quotations from a problematic player in the group. This channel does not condone the use of disparaging language targeting marginalized groups, but has left the story intact in its original form due to the context of the remarks. Storytime, TG. I call this one That Guy and the Bear. I'm typing this as I go, so I'm sorry if things get a little slow. We started a new group last week. Mostly it was made out of people I knew from my university's gaming group. I mainly joined because I had just gotten dumped hard and wanted something vaguely social to do on Friday nights, beyond feeling so lonely. A buddy mentioned he was going to start a Pathfinder game, and I figured it couldn't hurt. Me and the other prospective players put something together on Facebook to coordinate times, places, and so on. The group was as follows. The DM runs pretty good games, knows his systems well, but is cool enough to bend the rules for the sake of fun and story. Unfortunately, his apartment is really shit for running in. The host actually has a house. Agrees to let us run on the condition he can play too. Okay, guy. Has a speech defect, which means he can take a while to say anything, but we try not to hold that against him since he's otherwise pretty cool. The girl. Easily the smartest in the room and fiery. She's an engineer and has to put up with condescending assholes all day, so she can get aggressive if she feels like she's being talked down to. That guy answered an ad for the game that the GM put up in the LGS. Only person I didn't know before the game. Wears a leather trench coat, has long scraggly hair and a pube beard. Skinny, short, with weird staring eyes. And then there is the bear. I met the bear a few years ago, when I first started gaming, and he's one of my best friends to this day. For those of you not up on your gay slang, apparently bears refer to large, hairy men, and this guy fit that to a T. He stood well over 6 feet, had thick brown hair on his arms, and was solidly built. Apparently he plays rugby in the scrum, which is basically like a big sweaty pushing competition, which he always wins. Dude is physically imposing, but sufficiently chill to not feel threatening. He says he deliberately tends to slouch and sit when others stand so as not to tower. He's a really cool guy, gives me a ride to the game, and is really eager to see me happy after the breakup. As a gamer, he tends to run quite heroic characters. Frontline fighters, paladins, and the like. Since he's gay, he tends to play gay characters, but doesn't make a big deal out of that aspect. Since he's never met that guy before, and he knows some people have a problem with his dude fucking, he says on the ride over that he's gonna play things carefully until he can gauge that guy's feelings on the matter. He asks me not to mention his boyfriend, just in case that guy has a problem. So we get to the game and set up. That guy brings along a sorcerer. The girl rolls up a pretty good monk build. The host plays a barbarian. I play a cleric. And the bear rolls a paladin. We decide to both serve the same homebrew god to link our characters together. Bear brings along snacks for the game. I chip in some, and our host cooks for us beforehand. The girl brings spare dice, splats, and pencils. That guy brings esoteric body odor and a tendency to shout in conversation. Apparently, he is an undergraduate philosophy major at a local university and has been for the last 7 years. The bear and I are both arts majors. He went back to do an MA and share a glance at that over the table. How do you take 7 years to do an undergrad degree? The game begins. We play your fairly typical band of adventuring mercenaries thrust together by fate and dropped into a pseudo-Venetian city-state that has just liberated itself from an oppressive elven empire. The cleric and paladin are there to help the wounded or needy and generally preach the word of their god. The monk is there to search for a missing relative. The barbarian is there as a deserting orc auxiliary from the elven military. The sorcerer is a war profiteer. Anyway, the revolutionary leader, now appointed de facto head of the city, was recently attacked in the city by vampires, and his son has been kidnapped. This is bad news for the city, because said son was set to marry the princess of a second empire, currently at war with the elves, thus securing a major alliance. So, mighty heroes go out to save the prince, standard boilerplate fantasy adventure stuff, right? Well, it was until we learned that the leader of the vampires was named Eddard. That guy promptly launched into an anti-Twilight rant, which, okay, we all basically agreed that Twilight was crappy. But it took this guy 10 minutes of full volume to fully detail his feelings on the matter, which ended with something along the lines of, quote, "Burn all those sparkle faggots." The bear shared a slightly more pointed glance with me. Sure enough, the GM had set this initial quest as being a kind of send-up of Twilight, with the prince being set up as the Bella figure. His blood seems super special to Eddard somehow, so the vamp kidnaps him under the pretense of romance, so that Eddard can basically chain the prince to a fucking wall and turn him into a kegger. Drain the blood, heal the prince up with some cure light wounds, keep going. This we learn after a fact, of course, since we never quite got far enough before shit hit the fan, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So we track Eddard the vampire down to the Forked Cavern. Get it? Forks? And the bear and I take a lead against the vampiric thralls, who were played as being squealing fangirls. Until we eventually get to the final cavern. The battle against Eddard is hard fought due to his supernatural speed, tough skin, and his tendency to reflect light-based attacks back at us. Weaponized sparkles? The bear was having none of this, and runs Eddard through with his greatsword, burning the monster from the inside out. Fun times and all. But when the barbarian cuts the prince down, it seems the prince is delirious from blood loss and hallucinating. He still seems to love Eddard, even after any conceivable charm or mesmeric hold the monster had on him would have broken. That guy winks his nose in disgust and says, "You mean the prince is gay?" The GM shrugs, looks that way. We would later learn it was to set up a potential love triangle between the prince, princess, and paladin for a later story arc.
Fucking faggots. I cast burning hands.
We were all aghast, but that guy was rolling damage while gleefully describing how he was pouring his purifying flame to clear all sickness from the cave. The GM is the sort of guy who rules that you can joke about doing stupid stuff in character all you want, but if you mime it or roll it, you actually do it, and yeah. That came back to bite him. Hard. Because that guy was doing both. The prince gets killed by the guys who were meant to rescue him. The bear is pretty good at keeping his emotions in check, but there's a twitching of his eyebrow. I try to diffuse the situation as far as possible. "Sorcerer, what the hell? We needed to rescue him."
"What good is a prince that can't breed? We did his father a favor."
"You just endangered the entire city by ruining a politically arranged marriage. Who cares if the kid is gay?" "My character is lawful neutral. That means he values proper order above all else, and sodomy is unnatural." Oh boy. And the bear chimes in with, "Smite evil." What? I'm rolling it. My character, horrified at the atrocious act of murder he has just seen, brings his blade down on the man responsible. "But I'm not evil." "That's not what the burned body in front of you says, GM." You did kind of murder an unarmed, bound, and severely wounded youth because he was gay. That's an evil act. I really should change your alignment for that. It's chaotic neutral at best. It's unnatural. It's immoral. He was evil. He was probably turned to a vampire anyway. Which one of us detects evil as a class ability? They're evil. What's next? You're going to tell me that it's wrong to kill pedophiles? That it's wrong to have killed all of those vampires? Eddard broke the law when he kidnapped the prince. He endangered the entire city for the sake of his personal desires. Just like you. At this point, that guy starts screaming, and I'm not even going to replicate most of what he said. Suffice it to say that the discussion moves pretty firmly away from in-character to out-of-character pretty fast. The game is, unfortunately, discarded, as everyone at the table turns on that guy. The saddest part is how genuinely surprised he is that we did turn on him. When we tried to steer things back to the game, that guy was insistent that the city was better off without the, quote, weak, effeminate prince, and would do better with a, quote, strong, straight ruler at the head, which he left unsaid but implied pretty fucking hard would be himself, or at least one of us. He seemed to genuinely think that the story the GM had set out for us expected us to murder and usurp the ruling family of the city based solely on the sexual orientation of the heir. At this point, the bear apparently could take no more. He stood up and walked around the table to that guy. He seized that guy under the shoulders and lifted him from the chair. Remember how I said he was over 6 foot, but kinda slouched, so he wasn't intimidating? Yeah, not anymore. He was looming, towering even over that guy, who was about 5'6" and 100 pounds sopping wet. Listen to me, you little piece of shit. I have made bigger and better men than you beg for more. The bear grabbed that guy by the shoulders and lifted him bodily off the ground. I swear to God, the bear literally carried that guy out of the room, down the hall, and out of the house, deposited him on the sidewalk, like the trash he is, he later said, and then went back inside before cracking open a beer. That guy knocked on the door and rang the bell a few times, but we decided to ignore him. We pretty much had to draw a line under the session there for obvious reasons, and I'm not sure if the campaign is still going to happen, but so that's the closest thing to an end this story really has. Because I get the feeling it's not over. I do get the feeling the bear is my best bro for life, though. Thanks for tuning in to another tale as told by Cloak and Dagger Narrations. If you enjoyed the story, please feel free to show it with a like or a comment, and throw a subscription my way to hear more. Or, if you'd like to help support the channel and keep these stories going, you can consider flinging money wildly in the direction of my Patreon. Or, check the paypal.me link for a one-time money-flinging opportunity. If you want something in return for your money flinging, apart from the sultry sounds of my voice, there's a Teespring link down in the description. Wear the logo and send more people here to join you in money flinging. Or, you can check the Drive-Thru RPG affiliate link to pick up some rulebooks and start making stories of your own. Thank you.